Kasturi tilakam lalat patle Vakshasthale kaustubham Nasagre varmoktikam kartale Venu kare kankanam Sarvange harichandanam sulalitam Kanthe cha muktavali Gopastri parivestito vijayate Gopal Churamani Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran, 7th Canto. We are into chapter 12. If we do a recap, what are the chapters in the 7th Canto? These are dialogue between Yudhishthir Maharaj and Narad Ji. So let us remember that Bhagavad Katha is the conversation between different sets of personalities. One conversation is between Sukhdev Ji, Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj has only 7 days to live. So he would like to hear Bhagavad Katha, and Sukhdev Ji appears on the scene. Young Sukhdev Ji, who is only 16 years old, and he delivers the Bhagavad Katha to Parikshit Maharaj, who will be bitten by the serpent Takshak in 7 days. And in that assembly, Sut Goswami is also present. So later Sut Goswami narrates Bhagavad Katha to his disciples. They are 88,000 in number. They are called Shaunakadik Rishis. So that is conversation number 2. Conversation number 3 is between Maitreya Rishi and Vidurji. Because Sri Krishna had instructed Uddhavji, who was his great friend, that when you meet Vidurji, you tell him to go and meet Maitreya Rishi, who will impart him the knowledge of Bhagavad Katha. This was when Sri Krishna was winding up his Leelas. At that time, Vidurji was wandering in the forest as a mendicant, and Vidurji and Uddhavji met Sri Krishna. And since Sri Krishna was winding up, he was completing his Leelas, so he told Uddhavji to carry out some tasks. And one of the tasks was that Uddhavji should ask Vidurji to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive the knowledge. Uddhavji could also have narrated Bhagavad Katha to Vidurji, but considering the age difference, Vidurji is older, it was more appropriate that Vidurji receives this knowledge from Maitreya Rishi. So Vidurji goes to Badrik Ashram and he receives the knowledge. So these are the 3 sets of dialogue which you will read from Canto 1 and to Canto 12. But in between, there are other conversation also. For example, when Parikshit Maharaj is questioning, how is it that Shishupal, who was so inimical to Sri Krishna, and when he was killed, his soul went and merged into the body of Sri Krishna. So this is a very important knowledge from Bhagwat, that God has a very unique, merciful nature. And that unique, merciful nature is such that even if a person remembers God in a negative sentiment, he obtains God. And that's exactly what happened to Shishupal. It is like there is a bottle of poison. So whether somebody takes the poison knowingly to harm himself, commit a suicide, that will act, or whether somebody consumes it unknowingly, even then it will act. So when Parikshit Maharaj raises this question to Sukdev ji, Sukdev ji says this question was raised by Yudhishthir ji to Narad ji, and Narad ji explained why Shishupal's soul went and merged into Sri Krishna. Then the second chapter is about Hiranyakashipu consoling his mother Diti. So let us recall the lineage. Brahmaji creates the Manasputras, the mind-born children, mind-born rishis and personalities. So one of the mind-born rishis is Marichi Rishi. So Marichi Rishi's son is Kashyap Rishi. And Kashyap Rishi gets married to Diti and Aditi, and he has other wives also. He has 13 wives. Diti is the daughter of Daksh, and Daksh is coming from the lineage of Brahmaji. He is a Prajapati. In Swayambho Manu's time, Daksh Prajapati's daughter is Sati, and Sati gets married to Shiv, and that is story we know. In the current Manu, Vaivaswat Manu, Daksh Prajapati has reappeared in another form, and his daughter is Aditi, and Aditi is again married to Kashyap ji, and in this Manvanta, the the daughter of the son of Diti is Hiranyakashipu, and when Hiranyaksh, his brother, has been killed by Vaman, by Varah Avatar, Hiranyakashipu is consoling Diti. That is the story in chapter 2. In chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu, he receives the boon after he performs great austerities. In chapter 4, we learn about how after obtaining the boon that Hiranyakashipu cannot be killed either in the day or in the night, or outside or inside, or on the earth or in the sky, or by a human or an animal, or by a weapon. Different conditions he wanted, and all boons were granted by Brahmaji. Only boon Brahmaji couldn't give him, that to make him immortal, because Brahmaji said, even I am not immortal, I also have a lifespan. So all these boons he got after he performed the severe austerities, and then when he started ruling the kingdom, he was terrorizing everyone. And then when he came to know that his own son Prahlad is favorable to Vishnu ji and not him, and he opposed Vishnu ji so much, he started oppressing Prahlad. The next chapter, we hear how Prahlad ji, despite all attempts by Hiranyakashipu, through the Guru Putra Shand and Amark, that that Prahlad shouldn't talk about the devotion and spiritual matters. Prahlad continues to do so because that was his nature, and he would impart knowledge to his friends in the school. And during that conversation, Prahlad ji narrates about his birth, how his mother Kayadu was kidnapped by Indra, because Indra was fearing that Hiranyakashipu's son will be very powerful, and we should kill him when he is born. That is why he had kidnapped Kayadu, but Kayadu ji was rescued by Narad ji. Then in the chapter 8, we learnt about the avatar of Lord Narsingh, who is half lion, half man, and how he killed Hiranyakashipu using his nails, putting him on his lap, which is not on the earth nor in the sky. He used the nail, which is not astra or shastra, different types of weapons. He took him in the threshold of the house, which is neither outside or inside, and he himself appeared as half lion, half man, which is neither animal nor human. All the conditions he met, and Hiranyakashipu was killed. After the killing of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad ji prayed to the Lord, and the famous conversation we heard how Prahlad ji gave a lecture about the desires, which are the main cause of our stress, of our anxiety. Small matters also, we become tensed, we become morose, we become despondent, we lose our enthusiasm, we lose our charming nature, we become negative. And this is the moot point to understand that a devotee always remains blissful no matter how adverse the situation is. So how to cultivate this knowledge? This knowledge can be cultivated by understanding that we have to transcend our desires. We shouldn't be desiring so much unnecessary desires that everybody should respect me, everything should happen as per my wish, everything should go along with my schedule. And that is why there is so much of conflict and there is so much of anxiety. And that's exactly what Prahlad ji is saying, that oh Lord, if you want to give me a boon that I never develop a desire. And then it so happens that the Lord says, you do not want a desire, but what if I want to grant you something? Then he says, oh Lord, if you wish to grant me something, that is an order from you, and I will execute because that is your wish. So what happens? Prahlad ji becomes the ruler for one manvantar, 30 crores, 67 lakhs, 20,000 years. So proving the point, when the devotee does not ask anything, it is possible that God gives everything to that devotee. Because the devotee will know how to use the opulences. So this is the secret of bhakti. The bhakt doesn't want anything, but God is so anxious, he gives everything to the devotee. If he wishes to, whether he wishes to or however, that is not a constraint. He has access to all the opulences, all the material and spiritual assets. So that was a conversation, and we also recalled some very beautiful lines, which was Vimunchati yada kaman manavo manasi sthitan tarhaiva punrikakcho sa bhagwatvaya kalpate. If someone by his transcendental practice, by devotion, can overcome the tendencies of asking for desires fulfillment, he becomes godlike. And you will recall in 271 in Bhagavad Gita, the similar shloka was there. Vihaya kaman ya sarvan pumans sharti nispriya nirmamo nirhankara sashantim adhigachati. And one more point, very beautifully, Prahlad says, what happens when we make desire? What happens when we start asking, oh, give me something, give me this, give me that? This is like begging. What happens? We lose so many qualities. What are those qualities we lose? Prahlad explains. Prahlad says that when we desire, this is what happens. He says, Indriyani prana, Indriyani prana, and dharmo dhriti mati Shri Hri Shri Tejas Smriti Satya, all these are lost. You lose your power of the soul, power of the intellect, power of the mind, power of the senses power of the body, you lose your sense of shame, you lose your tej, the luster, the effulgence, all these we lose. So very important point, because today we are not able to see the text, so I'm taking a little extra time in driving this very important point, that one of the takeaways, the major takeaways from this session is to watch our thoughts, watch our desires, which is so important. Otherwise, we can never reach the goal of a spiritual realization. So, if you recall Bhagavad Gita shloka in the 3rd chapter, the same theme is repeated by Shri Krishna. Arjun is asking, why is it that we don't want to commit wrong, we don't want to commit sins, but we end up committing sins? This shloka comes after the verse on Swadharma is explained. Swadharma, Shreyan Swadharma Vigna, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna, Pardharmat Swanushtitat, Swadharma Shrestha Nidhanam Pardharmo Bhayavaha. This is a series of shloka which is worth remembering, that we should all know what is our Swadharma. Swadharma means, what is our Swadharma? Swadharma means, what is our natural inclination, natural inspiration, natural nature, the original nature. So if somebody's nature is to be a warrior, he should be a warrior. He shouldn't experiment with other professions. That is the meaning of Swadharma. So when we do Swadharma, the nature which we have inherited from our past, from our experience, that is the nature we should excel in. And if we do that, we are happy and we are on the right track. After this, Arjun is asking a question after understanding about the Swadharma. Why is it that we commit wrong? Ath kena prayuktam yo papam charti purushaha anikshanapi varshneya baladiva niyojita. Why is it, O Arjun, O Shri Krishna, that we don't want to commit sins, but still we end up committing sins? So Shri Krishna responds and gives this very important point. Kama esh, krodh esh, rajogun, samudbhavah, mahashano mahapapma, varinam, iha varinam. So he says that it is the lust, it is the desire, which is the factor in losing our control, in becoming reckless and careless. And he explains further by citing a very important shlok, that dhumena vriyate yagvahni yatha darsho malena cha yatholbe na vrito garbhas tatha tenedamavritam. He says that like the smoke covers the fire, like the mirror is covered by the dust, and like the fetus is covered by the womb, even the intellect of a great personality gets shrouded by the power of desire. That is why it is so important to control the desires. So we recalled all this in context of Prahlada's prayers to the Lord, and then Prahlada's received the epic and rare boon. And then in the last session, we learned about conducts of humans, varnas and women. And now we shall read about 712, brahmacharya and vanprasth conduct. And then also we will cover sannyasi's conduct. So 712 and 713 possibly we will take up. But let us do the bhajan before we get into the text reading. So this bhajan is about the glorifications of Guru. Guru Kripalur Mam Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. My merciful master is my only shelter. I bow to his lotus feet. I bow to his lotus feet, which grant auspiciousness to everything auspicious. He liberates worldly souls from the binding ties of Maya. I bow to his lotus feet. He fills the surrendered heart with gopi prem. I bow to his lotus feet. He protects that which the disciple possesses already and grants to him what he does not possess. I bow to Guru Dev's merciful lotus feet. Guru Dev's lotus feet provide shelter for the shelterless. I bow to his lotus feet. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Mangalamapi Mangalakaranam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Mangalamapi Mangalakaranam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Maya Moha Jal Haranam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Maya Moha Jal Haranam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Gopi Prema Bhava Bharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Gopi Prema Bhava Bharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Yogakshema Vahan Karanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Yogakshema Vahan Karanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Asharana Sharanam Guru Charanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Asharana Sharanam Guru Charanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Guru Kripalur Mama Sharanam Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. Vandeham Sadguru Charanam. बोलिए श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय. श्रीमद युगल सरकार की जय. जय जय श्री राधे. जय जय श्री राधे. जय जय श्री राधे. Our koti koti pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. Our koti koti pranam to Swami Mukundanandji. My humble pranam to each one of you. And now we shall read from the chapter 12 about the Brahmacharya and Vanprasth conduct. So let me read the first slide. If anyone else wants to read, please raise your hand. Narad Ji in this chapter tells the acts and conducts of a person in Brahmacharya and Vanprasth ashram. Highlights: dwelling in his acharya's residence, a brahmachari should be humble with his senses in full control, affectionately serve his guru and perform nitya rituals, including Sandhya Vandan, and worship his teacher, sacred fire, the sun god, and Lord Vishnu. He should eat only what is offered to him. He should firmly keep the mind in control and master the Vedas. With his teacher's permission, he can proceed to the next stage of Grihastha, Vanprastha, or Sannyas. In all stages, he should visualize Lord Vishnu present in every part of creation and eventually get transcendental. For a Vanprasth person, Naraji tells, he should only eat that which is ripened under the sun. He should offer charu, mix of rice, barley, and pearls boiled with butter in milk, and purodas, ground rice rounded into a cake, and then parts of it kept separately in different times at specific places to the divine through the sacred fire with fresh stock. So, when we read the Brahmacharya and Vanprasth conduct, earlier we read the conduct of other Varnashram, Kshatriya, Grihastha, Vanprasth, Sannyas, and then the different Varna, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. All these, when we learn, we may get overwhelmed that is it possible to do so many rituals, so many austerities. So we should remember that this is not the end goal of the spirituality. The spiritual laws are very simple. The Lord says, if you do bhakti, then all these become secondary. It is no longer important. This is only a starting point. Those who have not started to do bhakti, they have not started to, have faith in the Supreme Person. The bhakti has not yet got kindled in their heart. The karma kand rituals are for them. It is not compulsory. You should remember the final verdict in Bhagwat Gita 1866. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam par sarva papebhyo mokshayami mastacha. So Sri Krishna is very categorically saying that when you do bhakti, that is coming to the shelter of God, everything else is not important. You can discard all these rituals. The taking up the shelter of the Lord is so powerful and so complete that every other dharma is no longer required to be performed, because the act of surrendering to God, Sharanagati, going into the shelter of God, is the highest dharma, is called Paradharma or Parodharma. So the Aparadharma, which is the Karma Kand dharma, the rituals, etc., they are not compulsory. It is like when you are doing bhakti, you are watering the roots of the plant. And when you are watering the roots of the plant, you shouldn't worry whether you are pouring water into the leaves or the buds or the twigs or the flowers, etc. Now we shall read the next slide. Naradji in this chapter, okay, this is the, yes. Naradji explains the conduct of sannyasi. A physically and mentally fit man can take sannyas by renouncing everything and is left with his physical body only, roaming all over, staying in any one place for only one night, wearing only the barest minimum, only carry a staff and a kamandalu, which is a pot, living on whatever comes his way cheerfully, friendly to all, blissful in his own self, tranquil and devoted to Lord Vishnu, should go about all alone without any companion. Seeking the Lord everywhere, he does not seek life or death, he only awaits the course of time. Without having too many disciples, he should not take to pravachans, discourses, or any community activity. Narad ji also highlights that some may be a sannyasi internally without any outer signs of the same. For such a spiritually enlightened person, the rules are optional. So one sentence is missing. It doesn't matter. Basically, it's the same theme that the rules, these rules and all these conducts are not compulsory. This is the karm kand of the Vedas. But if you follow the upasana kand, the the bhakti marg, then these are correct. So though extremely intelligent, he may act as a madman or fool to the people. To highlight this point, Naradji recounts the talk between Prahladaji and Dattatreya. Okay, thank you. So in the next slide, which is in the next session, I believe, we will go into the story of Prahladaji and Dattatreya, because Prahladaji was a very able king. Imagine Prahladaji started with the request that I do not want any material benediction, O Lord. But the Lord said, this is my wish that you become the king. And for how long? For 30 crores, 67 lakhs, 20,000 years. That is the duration of one Manvantar. So for the complete Manvantar, Prahladaji was the ruler. And when he ruled, he has to do Samdam, Dandaved, everything. And then he used to go into the community in disguise and see what people are thinking about the king and the kingdom. In such a travel, he met an Avadhut who was lying on the land, and he was in such a blissful state. So he was Avadhut Dattatreya. So Prahladaji has a conversation, and that conversation is very important because Dattatreya gives so many practical tips to remain blissful forever. So that is the text reading for today. Now let us see the takeaways in the next slide. So the takeaways in the next slide are the ones which I briefly covered in the opening, text opening sentences. 7, 10, 9, if anyone wants to read, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I will read. Vimunchati yada kaman manavo manasi isthitan tarhaiva punrikaksha bhagvat paya kalpate. Oh my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. So he becomes like God. And then the next one, Nanyatha te khil guru ghatet karunatmana yasta ashish ashaste nasa bhritya savaivanik. Here, Prahladaji is telling Sri Narsingha Bhagwan, when Narsingha Bhagwan is offering some material boon, he is saying, otherwise, O my Lord, O Supreme Instructor of the entire world, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. On the other hand, one who desires some material benefit in exchange for devotional service cannot be your pure devotee. Indeed, he is no better than a merchant who wants profit in exchange for service. Now, let's see the next slide. And the last takeaway shloka, again from the 7th canto, 10th chapter, is Indriyani. This is the one I was recalling. Indriyani mana prana atma dharmo dhritirmatir Hri Shri Steja Smriti Satyam Yasya Nashyanti Janmana. O my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished. So these are the 12 qualities I was mentioning that desires cause so much of fall down. So we know that the Lord is most merciful. He is seated in our heart. He is watching everything. We just have to do the best what we can do. All of us have the potential to deal with the situation, to deal with our lives. So we should do whatever best we can do and leave the results in the hands of God. That is true devotion, thinking that Lord will do the justice. Lord is the justice dispenser. He gives justice to all. He does not distinguish anyone. He does not favor or he favors anyone. He is neutral. That's what he says in Bhagwat Gita. Samoham sarva bhuteshu, in the 9th chapter, I think 29th verse, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyo asti na priya yetu bhajante maam bhaktya mayite teshu chapmeham. I am neutral to everyone. I don't favor or disfavor anyone. That means whatever you do, you should be 100% sure that equal and opposite reactions will be there. The karma phal will take place. The timing we may not understand, but whatever karma we are performing, the results are bound to take place. God is Nyayakarta. He delivers the justice. He watches your acts. But there is a sub clause that when a person becomes devoted to God, then God becomes a Kripa Karta. Then he grants, the favors to the devotee because the devotee has surrendered to the Lord. So the Lord is so pleased with the devotion that he goes beyond the Nyaya Karta role and he becomes a Kripa Karta. He does the grace. He favors the devotee. He does everything for the devotee. So what is the need for asking if God is already doing everything possible? So that is the text reading and the takeaway for today. Thank you, Santosh ji. And let us now open up if there is any feedback, any points which the participants can share. Santosh ji.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. In the beginning of this session, some technical challenge was there. So I think some issue was there in my laptop. So I switched that.
But we overcame quite well.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
thanks to
now I
your
switched the laptop. I joined
perseverance.
through another laptop. So now
Right,
it's okay.
right.
I think one new member has
So
joined today.
I think, the member
I think
was there in
Madhu.
the last session also. But if anybody wants to introduce
Yeah.
himself or herself, please do so. Or anyone wants to say something, please go ahead. Sheila ji is not well, so we can spare her. Mohit ji, you
Mohiji,
would
Madhu
like to
ji.
say something? Yeah.
So no questions from my side today. Thanks again for wonderful session, Rajesh ji. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Let us check with Smita ji if she wants to share something, which she normally does.
राधे राधे भैया।
Radhe Radhe.
हर बार की तरह यह सेशन भी बहुत ही ज्ञान से भरा हुआ था। जो मुझे लगता है भागवतम के लगभग तकरीबन सारे चैप्टर्स में ही हमें ये ज्ञान की बातें कुछ निकल कर जो आती हैं, उनमें एक चीज जो बहुत कॉमन दिखता है मुझे, उसमें हमारे लिए ये संवाद होता है या ये संदेश होता है कि हमें अपनी इच्छाओं को बहुत ही कंट्रोल में रखने की जरूरत है। और हम जब भगवान के प्रति अपनी आस्था, अपनी श्रद्धा या उनके प्रति हम अपना मन समर्पित करते हैं, तो उस समय हमें कोई इच्छा लेकर वहां नहीं जाने की जरूरत है। हमें सिर्फ उनसे सेल्फलेस होकर उनकी पूजा और उनकी भक्ति में लगना है, और बाकी सब कुछ स्वयं अपने आप रास्ते पे सही हो जाएगा। हमें कुछ भी मांगने और करने की जरूरत नहीं है। जो उनकी इच्छा होगी वो होकर रहेगा, उस पर हमारा आपका कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है। और जैसे होते हैं ना कुछ लोग कि भगवान हमें ये दे दो, हमें वो दे दो, हमें ये जॉब दे दो, या हमारे बच्चे को ऐसा करवा दो, हमारे जीवन में ये पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट ला दो, तो ये सब कुछ मांगने और कहने की जरूरत नहीं है। उनको सब कुछ पता है कि उनको क्या किसको देना है और कब देना है। तो उनको ये निश्चिंत होकर स्वार्थ रहित होकर हमें उनके बारे में उनके बताए रास्ते पे चलना है। और जितनी भी अच्छी बातें, चाहे वो धर्म से जुड़ी हो या व्यवहारिक जिंदगी से जुड़ी हो, आपस में एक दूसरे के प्रति बिल्कुल निस्वार्थ होकर व्यवहार करना और हेल्प करना एक दूसरे का, और सेल्फलेस होके कोई भी काम करना, अपना 100% देना, चाहे वो जॉब हो, चाहे वो घर हो, या कोई समाज के प्रति ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी हो, इसमें अपना स्वार्थ छोड़ के हमारे हर किसी के कॉमन हित में क्या है वो करते रहो, और भगवान के प्रति अपने प्रेम को बनाए रखो, और अपनी गलतियों को उनको समर्पित करो और कहो कि हे भगवान, हमसे ऐसा अपराध हो गया, आप हमें रास्ता दो ताकि हम सही रास्ते पे चलें। तो इन्हीं सब चीजों के साथ जिंदगी अगर हम अपनी आगे बढ़ाएं तो शायद सब कोई बहुत ही सुख से अपनी जिंदगी व्यतीत करेगा। और मुझे तो यही लगता है कि सेल्फलेस होकर भगवान को प्यार करो और उनमें अपनी श्रद्धा को रखो। थैंक यू भैया।
थैंक यू। राधे
राधे
राधे।
राधे।
हर बार की तरह
बहुत अच्छी
आपके
बातें कही आपने
जी
कि उनको
आपके
सब
जो
पता
शब्द
है
हैं
हमें क्या चाहिए और कब चाहिए, तो मांगने की जरूरत नहीं है।
जी, स्मिता जी के शब्द बड़े सटीक होते हैं और उन्होंने सबको सब कुछ इतना अच्छा से उन्होंने समराइज किया, और जो उन्होंने कहा वही श्री महाराज जी ने हमको संदेश दिया कि हमने एक दोहा बनाया है। महाराज जी ने एक दोहा बनाया, हरि गुरु भजु नित गोविंद राधे, भाव निष्काम अनन्य बना दे। उन्होंने कहा कि सारे वेद शास्त्र उपनिषद पुराण, all the knowledge he has put into this shloka. हरि गुरु भजो नित गोविंद राधे, भाव निष्काम अनन्य बना दे। राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे, राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे. So absolutely there is no need to think about doing this, that, whatever. He said just do these three things. Hari Guru Bhajunit. You have to be in the awareness that Hari and Guru are there in your heart. They are watching every thought of yours. Be in love with them. Be under their shelter. That is the meaning of constant remembrance of Hari and Guru. But why are we remembering? Are we remembering that, oh Hari and Guru, please give me this or that? No. Nishkam. Leave the decision for him, what he wants to give, how he wants to deal with us. So three factors: constant remembrance without any break, ananya. Don't change your thinking that this God will help me, this God will not help me. God is one. So see the same divine in all the forms of God. So that is the second point. And third point is the nishkam, without selfish desires. With that, I will hand over to Santosh ji for some words from him and then conclusion.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh Bhaiya. Thank you everyone for joining this session. And without your presence, this session will not be successful. So thanks for your time. And I will make sure from the next time this technical issue will not come, because I changed the laptop. So in this laptop, everything is coming fine. So
Today also we managed very well,
yes,
thanks
yes.
to
I
your
changed the laptop,
efforts
then I started
and
coming.
tips from Mohit ji. बोलिए श्रीमद सतगुरु सरकार की
सरकार
जय,
की
श्रीमद विठल
जय,
जय
सरकार जय। जय जय
जय
श्री राधे,
राधे,
जय
जय
जय श्री
जय
श्री
श्री
राधे,
राधे।
जय जय श्री
श्री
राधे.
राधे।
Stop sharing. Radhe Radhe Rajesh Bhaiya. Thank you everyone.
राधे 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 राधे.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
राधे राधे भैया.